Back in 2015, a few Indian artifacts went under the hammer in London. The auction was organized by Bonhams, and among the items on display were a beautifully crafted sword and an ornate cannon. No one expected what happened next. The bidding shot up to levels nobody could have imagined. The sword with a tiger carved into its hilt was valued at staggering 21 crore rupees, and the cannon, equally decorated and historic, sold for 13 crore rupees. 8 years after their first auction, in 2023, Bonhams put another set of Indian artifacts on the block. Among them was a sword called Sulekha. This one too fetched nearly 1.5 crore rupees. But the real value of this sword was not in its craftsmanship, it was in its owner. Because this sword, along with the cannon you heard about earlier, belonged to Tipu Sultan. Yes, the same Tipu Sultan known as Sher-e-Mysore, the man who fought the British not once but 4 times and was ultimately killed in what many believe was a British conspiracy. You might find this hard to believe, but what we have seen in these auctions is just a tiny glimpse of Tipu's treasure. After his martyrdom in 1799, the British plundered his vaults without mercy. No other Indian ruler's treasury perhaps was looted on such a massive scale. Tipu Sultan's treasure was enormous, filled with items so rare and extraordinary that many of them have never resurfaced. And today, I am going to tell you that story. What exactly lay inside Tipu Sultan's legendary treasure? Which priceless artifacts left India in British ships and were never found again? To find out, stay with this video till the very end. The evening of May 4, 1799 became one of the darkest in Mysore's history. Tipu Sultan, the ruler of the kingdom, was killed in the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, and the moment Tipu fell, chaos took over. For the next 2 days, his palace, his treasury, and even the homes of ordinary people were looted without restraint. Arthur Wellesley described the scene in a letter saying that hardly a single house in the entire city was left untouched. In another letter to his brother, Lord Morningstar, who was also fighting against Tipu, he wrote something even more shocking. Priceless pearls were being traded for nothing more than a bottle of wine. An army doctor bought 2 diamond-studded bracelets from a soldier. A jeweler from Hyderabad valued one of them at 39,000 British pounds. That's roughly 50 million rupees today. And the second bracelet was so valuable that the jeweler couldn't even estimate its worth. After hearing all this, you can probably imagine how massively Tipu Sultan's treasure enriched the British. India, once called the Golden Bird, was stripped in exactly these ways. After the looting of Tipu's treasury, the British set up a reward committee headed by General Floyd to divide the spoils. According to official records, the value of this reward came to 3,60,000 euros, which would be worth more than 38 crore today. And what did this treasure include? Magnificent gems, Tipu's famous golden tiger throne, sparkling silver basins, gold and silver plates, luxurious carpets, huge bundles of fine muslin and silk, and even Tipu's grand library. Many of these silver basins and ceremonial umbrellas had been specially commissioned by Tipu, some for his own use, others as diplomatic gifts. His royal workshops produced exquisite jewellery for him and his family. In 1785, he sent entire box of gemstones to the Ottoman Empire, intended for turban ornaments. In 1787, he gifted 2 precious diamond and ruby rings to the King of France. Tipu personally took a deep interest in how these artifacts were crafted. But once Tipu was killed, the British seized everything. And many of those priceless items vanished into private collections, never to be found again. Take Tipu Sultan's throne for example. It was a masterpiece unlike anything seen in India at that time. Shaped like a life-sized tiger, the entire structure was crafted out of gold sheets. Precious stones were embedded throughout, making the whole throne glitter like a jewel. After Tipu Sultan's death, the British didn't just take the throne, they broke it apart. According to Asiatic Annual Register, the throne was so heavy that it simply couldn't be lifted in one piece. So they dismantled it, smashing it into several parts before carrying it away. The register also describes its extraordinary details. A silver staircase led up to the throne, decorated with gold nails and golden strips. Above the seat was a grand canopy, magnificent in size, its entire edge lined with a delicate fringe of fine, expensive pearls. The tiger mounted on the throne had glass eyes and teeth, and building the entire structure had cost Tipu an astonishing 60,000 pagodas, an enormous sum for that era. When the British finally destroyed this incredible work of art, only a few pieces survived. A massive tiger's head from the front of the throne, two smaller tiger heads, and a striking Huma bird, the mythical bird of paradise that once sat proudly atop the throne's canopy. Now, friends, remember, this plunder happened back in 1799. The tiger's head from Tipu's throne didn't stay in India for long. In 1800, Governor General Morningstar sent it to King George III as a victory gift for defeating Tipu Sultan. Today, that tiger's head sits in the royal collection of the United Kingdom. The Huma bird that once crowned Tipu's parasol was equally stunning, crafted out of solid gold and studded with precious stones. Historian Strong writes that Tipu Sultan's throne carried Quranic verses engraved into it, and its finial was shaped like a tiger's head. Above it perched a dazzling bird decorated with rare gemstones in the classic South Indian jewellery tradition. This mystical bird was connected to the Iranian royal symbolism and reflected Tipu's deep interest in astrology and the cosmos. It carried 9 gemstones, each believed to be auspicious. This bird was about the size of a pigeon, 6 inches tall, with a wingspan of nearly 8 inches. The mane was made entirely of emeralds. Its body was formed from diamond and 3 ruby bands wrapped around it. The tail was long, almost peacock-like, and every inch of it glittered with precious stones. And remember, this wasn't built on wood or any base metal. The entire figure was carved from solid gold, with such fine detailing that the gold shone through the gems. Its eyes were 2 bright carbuncles, and its chest, lined with pearls, was studded with diamonds. This magnificent bird too was taken by the British. Today, it sits in the Royal Collection Trust under the King of England. Just think about that for a moment. We often talk about the Kohinoor, but the British carried away treasures far beyond it. Masterpieces like this bird, whose beauty and craftsmanship are amongst impossible to imagine today. Tipu's throne was a remarkable creation, one of the most magnificent and symbolic thrones in Indian history. It did not just represent his power and grandeur, it carried deep religious and cultural meaning as well. Its most striking feature was the set of 8 tiger heads mounted around the throne. These were not simple decorations, they were deliberate symbols of Tipu's identity. Tipu Sultan had a special fascination with tigers. He called himself Shere-Mysore, the tiger of Mysore, and the tiger was his personal emblem. To him, the tiger stood for strength, courage, and royal pride. So when he commissioned a grand throne for himself, he made sure it reflected that identity. 8 golden tiger heads were placed on the corners and edges of the structure, each one crafted in gold, with black stripes engraved into the metal to resemble real tigers. The throne itself was crafted from gold and inscribed the verses from the Quran. On top sat a small tiger studded with precious stones. Historians believe these 8 tigers' heads were not just decorative, they symbolized Tipu's power and the 8 directions that guarded his kingdom. In many ways, the throne was a fusion of his religious beliefs, his astrological ideas, and his royal identity. What is truly surprising is this: out of those 8 tiger heads, we know fate of only 3. One of them sits in the Clive collection at Powys Castle in Scotland. The other 2 have been up for sale at Bonhams for nearly 20 years. But they still haven't found buyers, simply because their price is extraordinarily high. While Tipu's throne and his tiger grab most of the attention, there is much more of his legacy scattered across Britain. Windsor Castle in Berkshire houses Tipu Sultan's war helmet, his turban ornaments, and his sarpage, the jewelled plume worn by royalty. The V&A Museum in London holds an entire collection of emerald and diamond jewellery, as well as ruby and diamond sets, bracelets, brooches, necklaces, pendants, all crafted from the precious stones looted from Tipu's treasury. And among these items is a remarkable piece listed simply as the ancient Indian gold ring. It bears the name of Hindu god Rama engraved in Devanagari script. The ring sold for 1.5 crore in 2019. It weighed 41.2 grams, small in size but enormous in historical value. But friends, Tipu's treasure was not limited to gold, silver, or weapons. He also owned something made of wood that left even the British stunned. It was a wooden mechanical tiger, a semi automatic figure almost the size of a human being. The sculpture showed a tiger mauling a European soldier pinned to the ground. Inside it was a hand crank mechanism. When turned, the tiger would have moved the soldier's arm up and down, producing sounds that mimicked a dying man's scream. In its own way, this device captured Tipu's fury towards the British, an anger born from defending his homeland. After Tipu's death, the British seized this tiger machine and shipped it to the London for the East India Company. Today, this mechanical tiger is one of the most visited artifacts in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. But that was not all. When the British stormed Srirangapatna, they didn't just find swords and jewellery. They uncovered an entire world of unique items from Tipu's palace. Many of his garments, his quilted cap, his dressing gown, his armor helmet, shield are still preserved in museums across England. The royal collection also holds Tipu's horse armor, its robe, and even his sun banner. His royal flag bearing the image of the sun. His personal golden seal too sits in a British collection today. There is more. Four flagpoles captured from Srirangapatna now stand in the Royal Hospital, Chelsea. And of course, Tipu's swords and cannons, crafted in stunning royal designs engraved with Arabic and Persian inscriptions in gold, each one marked with the tiger emblem, are today displayed in museums across London, Windsor Castle, Kuala Lumpur, and Doha. One of Tipu's swords was especially rare, a beautifully carved saber with a finely carved tiger head on its hilt. The blade had a flowing water-like pattern known as the Barbary design. And on this blade, inlaid in gold, was a powerful inscription in English: "Draw me not without reason, sheathe me not without honor." In simple words, don't wield me without purpose and don't put me away without dignity. The price of this sword was so high that in 2015, an Indian collector bought it for 2.3 crore at an auction in London. Friends, Tipu's weapons were never just tools of war, they were expression of his royal taste and his unique artistic vision. Whether it was his high firelocks, guns, cannons, daggers, or swords, each piece carried a distinct craftsmanship. Tipu treated every weapon as a work of art. In fact, when one of his firelocks went up for auction in the West in 2019, the bidding shot up to 60 lakh rupees. But British loot didn't stop at weapon or jewellery, they even took furniture from Srirangapatna. The Orient Club in London and the V&A Museum still display chairs taken directly from Tipu's palace. There was also a special royal tent made of cotton and painted in Burhanpur floral style. That tent now sits in the collection at Powys Castle. Tipu's personal hookah was taken as well. It eventually ended up in the possession of British antiquarian William Beckford. The British Army also carried away medicine boxes, decorative cases, and dozens of everyday objects. All of this make one thing very clear. Tipu Sultan's court was not just a seat of administration. It was a living display of Mysore's power, prosperity, and culture. It offered the world a glimpse into the grandeur of Indian princely states, a glimpse of so striking that Mysore's name echoed in cities like London, Paris, Washington, and Constantinople. The truth is simple. When the British defeated Tipu in 1799 and looted his treasure, they didn't just take away the wealth of a dynasty. They tried to sever a rich, vibrant chapter of our history. Tipu's treasure reminds us that behind every victory and every defeat lies a deeper story. These are not just artifacts, they are pieces of our collective memory. They tell us that culture, art, and courage know no boundaries, and they challenge us to understand our history, to value it, and to learn from it as we move forward. History is not just about what was won or lost, it's about what survives in memory. Tipu Sultan's story and the treasures taken from him remind us how powerful and sophisticated our heritage truly was. If this journey into the past moved you, do share your thoughts and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more such stories. Thank you.